What's going on, everybody? Greg Ehrenberg here from OddsShopper, and we're going to break down some bets here in a second. It is Wednesday. We've got a big NBA slate that is primarily going to be the focus of the games that I'm going to be talking about. And then tomorrow, we're going to be getting back into some college basketball with the NCAA tournament resuming. So as you guys come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want access to the OddsShopper tools that I'm about to be taking some bets from in this video, 7 days totally free. Clicking on the link below, no risk to yourself. Really good way for you to get in, see what our tools are about, make some money, and then use the money you make on the free trial to actually pay for the tool after that free trial comes up. And this is something that I've been really profitable using over the course of the season. Going to bring this up, well, I should say not the season, over the course of the year across multiple different sports like NHL, for instance. I don't know anything about, but I've made a good amount of money using the tools that we have over at OddsShopper. And also, if you guys have any other questions or comments for myself, download our Chalkboard app. Chalkboard is totally free to download. It's totally free to get into our group as well. We're starting to build it up, primarily Lofty and myself posting in there. We're covering all different sports. We're covering prize picks, no house advantage, all of that. And you get access to some additional bets from us for free. And you can also ask us questions over there in Chalkboard. So go check it out. Totally free. Why not? Let's look at some of the bets that we have for today. Got this shared on the screen as well. And like I said, I'm going to focus on NBA today. We've got a big 10-game NBA slate. This is where a lot of the best value is going to be had. And one thing that kind of stands out right at the top here, and by the way, also, I kind of fly into this blind, guys. I'm not exactly sure what's going to show up as the best bets on OddsShopper when I go in to record this, but I think it's a pretty good insight into what I'm usually looking at when I wake up in the morning and start to look at some of the initial lines for bets. And these are some of the lines that have popped up pretty frequently in OddsShopper that actually have good value. And I know a lot of people might look at a minus 245 line and think, how does minus 245 have value? I'm about to show you why. So the Memphis Grizzlies playing against the Houston Rockets. I think pretty much all of us would expect Memphis to end up winning that game. They're minus 245 on BetRivers to win the first quarter. But look at some of the lines on other books. We've got FanDuel. It's at minus 310. PointsBet minus 325. So that's a pretty big gap in terms of what BetRivers is posting as compared to some of these other books. So that's one of the reasons why just using some line shopping, we could see that using the books against themselves, the minus 245 has some value when we got other books posting lines north of minus 300. Something else you could do if you want to reduce the juice on some of these lines, and it's something that if you guys were watching the old NBA betting video I started to do a little bit, you could actually parlay some of the first quarter money lines with the full game money line on a team like Memphis, and you might be able to reduce that minus 245 to like a minus 130 or something like that. And obviously, there's a lot of correlation between those lines. The Grizzlies, if they win the first quarter, quite a bit more likely to win the game. So I think that's a good bet to start the day here. Memphis Grizzlies first quarter money line, if possible. Also, look to parlay the first quarter with the full game money line. Kenyon Martin Jr. If you look at him, we've got him at PointsBet. Under 6.5 rebounds, minus 130. Kenyon Martin has been playing a bigger role for Houston down the stretch of the season. We've seen Houston move more towards their younger players that they could potentially be on the team in the future, as opposed to playing guys like Eric Gordon, who's getting a bunch of time around the year. He's gone. He's on the Clippers. And then even some other players like Usman Garuba, he was playing backup center. It's getting extended run at one point. We actually saw at one point in the season, even Alperen Şengün was coming off the bench. Clearly, that's not the case anymore. But Kenyon Martin Jr., under 6.5 rebounds is minus 130. A little bit of line shopping value here. Unibet has it at minus 152. DK minus 140. BetRivers minus 152. And these 5-10 cent differences on lines make a massive difference over the course of an entire season. So always want to check and make sure that you are getting the best line. The next best line other than the minus 130 is minus 136 at FanDuel. Probably would stay away from that, but the minus 130 on KJ Martin, some value there. And let's look at Nikola Jokic. Here's another one. Over 23.5 points for Jokic. And most other books have this at 24.5 as the line. And not only at 24.5. So Caesars has this 23.5 and minus 125. Compare that to DraftKings that has over 23.5, but minus 140, or some other books like BetRivers, 24.5 is the line. PointsBet is 24.5. FanDuel has 24.5. So it looks like some good value there on Jokic compared to the lines at the other books. And also, if you look at some of Jokic's scoring numbers as of late, I'm pulling that up on my other monitor in front of me right here. They've been up over the last week we've seen Jokic, or last couple of weeks, we've seen Jokic's usage actually increase to 28.9. And one thing that I think has kind of happened here down the stretch of the season, the Nuggets have gotten a little lackadaisical, right? They've kind of fallen a little bit in the standings. They had a big lead atop the Western Conference, which they're still expected to be the number one overall seed. But stuff like Jokic's MVP starting to slide away from a little bit, as Joel Embiid is now the odds-on favorite to win the award. And part of it just has to do with some of the Nuggets struggles. And I think that they are getting a little bit more back to relying on Jokic to right the ship as of late. That's why the usage has been up in recent games. A little bit of a dip in his assist rate. Nothing massive, but he's gone from averaging 10 assists per game to 9 assists as the usage has seen an uptick. Jokic being a little bit more aggressive as of late, looking for his own shot. Something that makes me think there's some value in the over points. And then as we scroll through here, not a ton of other stuff with super high ROIs as of now. But we do have another one of these. The Bucks, it's actually their second quarter money line against the Spurs. I actually wouldn't bet this one right now, even though there's a lot of line value difference, minus 245 on DraftKings versus minus 345 everywhere else, just because I do have a little bit of concerns that we could see a team like the Bucks in a home game against the Spurs potentially rest a Giannis or a Drew Holiday or a Chris Middleton, and that would take some of the value away. So wouldn't touch this one quite yet. I do like the other bets that I talked about, though, and just to recap those, we had Jokic over 23.5 points, Kenyon Martin Jr. Under 6.5 rebounds, and the Grizzlies first quarter money line. Let's check on hockey real quick. Let's see if there's anything that stands out as far as hockey bets are considered. Got some futures in here. The Avalanche to win the division. They're plus 115 at DraftKings, actually minus money at other places. I might go bet that right after this. Avalanche, yeah, minus 118 at Unibet, minus 118 at Bet Rivers. So not necessarily a bet just for today, but a future bet that has a little bit of value. No look at our top hockey bet for today is Granlund for under 0.5 points. And one of the main reasons why is FanDuel, which is actually really good at pricing some of the hockey markets. We use that weighted fairly heavily in our algorithm. The way that the OddsShopper model works is this is just based on an aggregate of different lines that are posted at different sports books. It's weighted based on which books have the most overall success in being the closest to the actual results of the lines. So you see here, FanDuel has minus 172 for Granlund to not score a point. It is minus 150 over points bet. So that's the number that does stand out there with Granlund minus 150 for under half a point. So just looking for him to not register a goal or an assist. And now also let's look at prize picks. Let's see what looks good in terms of prize picks today. Can we build a plus EV prop card? And the answer here is yes. This is a 25x parlay over at Prize Picks using all of the different tools we have over at Stochastic. And let's see the difference between the flex and the power play. Yeah, the power play actually has a negative expected ROI, whereas the flex play positive expected ROI. So we've seen that more often than not when we look at the tools in this. You're better off using the flex play at Prize Picks than you are using the power play. Gives yourself a little bit more wiggle room in terms of missing one pick. The ones that stand out the most here on Prize Picks using our tools at OddsShopper, Malik Beasley. We were showing my age here by referencing Michael Beasley. Malik Beasley over 11.5 points. We have, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name. DeJulius? Nobody knows. Over 5.5 assists, though, does project out fairly well for us. And like I said, a lot of these sports I do not know anything about, but I've been profitable just blindly betting using the tools that we have here. Michael Porter Jr., over 2.5 threes. Jalen Brunson, under 5.5 assists. Mark here from the UH versus Miami game. Mark is currently, if I'm not mistaken, the starting point guard for Houston. I picked that up from watching some of the Houston basketball games over the course of the NCAA tournament. So him for over 10.5 points. He was actually like the only player for Houston who didn't get in foul trouble in the last game. And then Anthony Davis over 25.5 points. So this flex play over at Prize Picks only has a 2% expected win rate, but considering that it's a potential for a 25x parlay with 6 legs here, the expected ROI is 8%. So Prize Picks, if you guys play over there, here's a parlay that you could play and build out some of your prop cards with. So that is going to cover the highest projected win rate stuff that we have in the morning over at OddsShopper. I'm going to be posting more bets as I typically do throughout the day over in Chalkboard. Totally free to download and use. If you guys haven't done it yet, click on the link below. Free to download Chalkboard, free to enter our channel within Chalkboard. And also, before you guys leave, if you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck. I hope you guys win all your bets tonight.